Turn it up.
Cool. I'm afraid I'd have to use my computer.
Good evening. Today's Monday, January 12th, 2026. It's 5:30 p.m. And for tonight's agenda, first up, item agenda A, a city update by Brian McCain, Chief of Staff, 5-minute presentation.
Thank you, sir. First up, incoming outgoing city council reception. Next week on Tuesday, January 20th, we will thank our outgoing council members Dennis Flores, Regina Maestri, and Sarah Martinez for their last 4 years on city council. Then we'll welcome the incoming members, Brett Boston, Diane Dante, Selena Reese Gomez, and Ted Hernandez. Join us for the reception from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. in the pre-function room, or it's the box office downstairs in Memorial Hall. No RSVP is required. And then Clyde, can you put the PowerPoint up, please? So I wanted to do a recap on both PD and our community service cleanup. So start with community service. During 2025, at the direction of the mayor, the role of community services expanded significantly. The department performs the duties of supervising adult and juvenile community service workers for the municipal court. These workers perform graffiti removal, prepare and tend to the community garden, and participate in the 4 annual parades. Additionally, the department became responsible for the coordinating and maintenance of the homeless shelter and warming shelter, added a 2-person team to clean up homeless camps, alleys, and illegal dumps inside the city, and coordinating multiple large-scale cleanups along the Fountain River and the area known as the jungle beneath Benedict Park. The graffiti program covers all city property as well as private property for those who provide a written request and consent to mitigate graffiti. They employ several different methods, which include painting, chemical pressure wash, hand scrub, and laser removal. At the time of this report, the total graffiti mitigated is 33,324 lines. For reference, a line of graffiti is a 2.5 by 2.5 foot square. For scope, if you were to place the squares in a straight line, you'd have a painted line that is 2.5 feet wide by 15.77 miles long. The homeless shelter facilities, at the beginning of the year, there were several facilities related issues that needed to be addressed, including the furnace unit repairs, burst water pipes, kitchen and freezer equipment repairs. Once the immediate issues were handled, the focus shifted to general maintenance and upkeep of both the shelter building and the warming shelter office space at the building next door. For the food, the shelter needed a substantial amount of food to continue their operations. The list of actions taken to ensure food security over the year included acquiring over 3,000 pounds of meat, established a weekly allotment of meat through the Pueblo Food Project, acquired thousands of pounds, multiple pallets of food, assisted in the restoration of the Care and Share partnership, and stepped in to cook a few meals for residents and outreach when the shelter staffing was short. On the cleanup side, we added 2 part-time employees last year whose primary focus is homeless camps inside the city and illegal dumping cleanups. The 2-person team, working about 5.5 hours per day, is averaging 1.1 tons of garbage removed from the city daily for a total of 2025 of 106 tons between the two. The multi-agency cleanups that they did throughout the year, Community Services has coordinated 7 large-scale cleanups of homeless camps along the Fountain River from Gruma Drive on the south end to Dillon Drive on the north end, as well as the area known as the jungle beneath Benedict Park. The coordination has encompassed internal and external agencies to include the Pueblo Police Dice Unit, Pueblo Stormwater, Pueblo Parks, Pueblo Municipal Court, Community Services, Pueblo Streets, Union Pacific Railroad, BNSF Railroad, and CDOT. This is a team and community effort every time they clean these up. The combined cleanups have resulted in over 2.25 million pounds of garbage removed from the city property, including about 5.5 mile stretch on the Fountain River. So again, that's just this team alone on the community service cleanups, that's 2.25 million pounds of garbage that they removed in 2025. The year-end update from the police department. Part 1 crime, which includes aggravated assault, arson, auto theft, burglary, homicide, robbery, sexual assault, and theft larceny, fell by 5% comparing 2024 to 2025 incidents with a significant decrease in homicides from 20 in 24 to 13 in 2025, with an overall decrease of 35%. This is the lowest homicide rate for Pueblo since 2019. Arson saw a 7% decrease in 2025. Auto theft decreased by 13%. Sexual assault decreased by 28%. Theft and larceny decreased by 2%, and robbery decreased by 32%. Loitering citations increased by 22%. Loitering by minors after curfew increased by 8%, and curfew in the park citations increased by 135%. The Pueblo Police Department continues to utilize the Directed Investigation and Community Engagement, or the DICE unit, as I refer to them in these updates, to help combat lower level crimes such as loitering, trespass, suspicious persons, and theft from merchant. This unit specifically conducts proactive policing, which addresses individuals with PR bonds, municipal warrant arrests, and issues citations. The Beat Auto Theft Through Law Enforcement, or BATTLE unit, is a collaborative interagency unit in Southern Colorado which recovers stolen vehicles, arrests offenders, and works to deter future stolen vehicle crimes. The Impact unit is a proactive policing unit that was established in 2024 to disrupt criminal activity. They collaborate with other special investigation divisions, or SIDs, gang and narcotics units, and conduct large investigations. In 2025, they investigated 36 different cases and made arrests in 21 of those. And also our community service officers, they've played an integral role in addressing crime where these civilian officers manage various incidents where suspects are not present. This includes burglaries, motor vehicle thefts, criminal mischief, fraud, missing persons, and traffic hazards on top of the other work that they do. And with that, if you don't have any questions, that concludes my update.
Item agenda B, please. And it's going to be Eric Abraham, Program Manager for COS. We also have Casey Pfeiffer, Vice President, Policy and Business Development. And it's a 15-minute presentation. Try to stick with the presentation time, please, and turn your mics on, because if not, everybody in the panel will let you know.
Good evening. Oh, there we go. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present. My name is Casey, and I am Vice President of Policy and Partnerships for CEO, and this is Eric, who runs our program. We're here today because we, in the past 4 months from September to December, we've been operating a pilot program with the city to provide maintenance services with the Public Works Department and provide reentry employment to individuals coming home from incarceration. And we're here to tell you about the pilot. Next slide. Oh, yes, got it. So the Center for Employment Opportunities, we're an employment social enterprise that provides formerly incarcerated individuals with immediate employment. So in Colorado Springs, and for the past 4 months in Pueblo, we provide daily pay to individuals. And the way that we do that is by partnering with public agencies and private employers to provide transitional jobs for individuals. So our main employment partner is the Colorado Department of Transportation. And through this pilot program with the city of Pueblo, we've been able to serve individuals for the first time in this community and provide transitional jobs and also provide litter abatement and beautification in the city. And I will pass it to Eric to talk about our program.
Yes, so my name's Eric Abraham. I'm the program manager for Colorado Springs office, and I oversaw the Pueblo office for the pilot program. Our program model works in 6 phases. So we have orientation, where we bring individuals in. We were utilizing the Latino Chamber of Commerce for our orientation space, so we could directly serve individuals in the Pueblo community. From there, it's 2 days of paid orientation. From there, they go to our transitional work crew. So they start working on crew. We utilize the main bus terminal downtown as the pickup location and drop off location for individuals in the program. That way, we came and met everybody where they were at, and it was a centralized location for each individual. From there, they went around the city to areas provided by Parks and the Public Works Department for areas of cleanup. With that, we go into our job coaching and our job development phase. So one day a week, each individual meets with a job coach and a dedicated job developer to help them remove barriers. So food insecurities, clothing insecurities, if they're having trouble with their housing, or if they need reimbursements on getting their driver's license or help getting their, vital documents, we will support them in getting all those needs met. Once they graduate from job coaching, you go to job development, where I have a dedicated staff member who scours the community and meets with business owners and employers to, promote fair chance hiring and obviously get our individuals placed in employment long-term with these community partners. And then from there, after the job placement has occurred, we provide retention services. So we provide wraparound services for 365 days after an individual leaves our program. So we will do follow-ups with them at least once or twice a month, or they can call us anytime they need us if they're having a hard time at work, struggling to have those hard conversations with their employers, just so we can help them stay engaged and employed. We've also learned that that's not as simple as it seems. So we also provide, after model classes such as communication classes, budgeting classes, thinking forward classes, just to help, that long-term success for an individual returning home from incarceration. And then with that, we goes into some of our unique services. So our partnerships benefits is we provide financial stability. So for each individual coming home from incarceration gets immediately paid. So we pay them daily, money in their pockets as soon as they clock out for work. We provide immediate work. We provide immediate feedback on work. So each individual gets graded by their site supervisor that takes them out on crew to let them know, like, if they're showing up correctly, if they're having, the bad conversations on crew, how to correct it, treat this like a real full-time job, like you would treat it somewhere else in the community. Like we do wraparound services, advanced training. So we partner with the United States Trucking Company to provide CDL training and certifications for individuals that come to our program that we pay for, and we provide a stipend while each individual goes through that program if they decide to go through that program. So they're not worried about, the income benefit, the income while they're in the school. Community benefits, we're adaptable and a reliable workforce. We've been proven in Colorado Springs and Denver for over the last 6 years. We meet immediate labor needs, so litter abatement, beautification, graffiti removal, housing authority. We've worked with multiple partners across the nation at our other 12 states. Fair chance, we promote fair chance hiring. So for every individual coming home from incarceration, we help promote that they are a reliable work source and can be stable in the community. And we cultivate new talent. A lot of our individuals that come to our program have been incarcerated for different amounts of time, some upwards of 18+ years in incarceration. And we help them to, learn how to work, start working, create new skills, and be sustainable in the community after they leave our program.
One of the reasons we want to provide services in this community is many of the reasons that Mr. McCain also spoke to is we want to be able to serve communities in Colorado that have high rates of individuals returning home from incarceration. And one of the things to know about our program is even among the 1 in 3 Americans who have a criminal record, we serve individuals who have the highest barriers to employment. So Eric spoke about long terms of prior incarceration. A typical CEO participant also has not worked before, or they might have a more stigmatized conviction where it's harder to find a job. So we want to serve those individuals who are coming home to the community and make sure they have immediate stability through that daily paycheck with us and get those wraparound services. Another piece to know about us is we consistently evaluate our program for its effectiveness. And just recently, we studied this specific piece of providing income to individuals and found that through that stability of income, parole violations are reduced by about half for individuals within that first 6 months of release. Pass it back to Eric to talk about some of our partnerships.
So we were very excited to start working here in Pueblo. I've worked very closely with the community, Public Works, Andrew. I've made partnerships with public leaders and officials. I've met with paroles where we get the remainder of our referrals from parole and probation. Karen Share, Pueblo Community College, Cervasio's Southern Colorado Harm Reduction Center. literally scurry the city to find partners that can help us be successful, because like we always say, it takes a village to help somebody be successful. And we want to create that village for every individual coming home, so we can create a safer city for, everybody. Since starting the pilot in the city of Pueblo, we've been able to serve 17 individuals. Those 17 individuals work 4 days a week, with 1 day, of course, being their job coaching, job development. We were able to place 6 individuals in employments. Currently, 4 individuals are still working with us. They are working out of the Colorado Springs office. 2 are reoffended, and 1 is, we're still working with. Every day we collected 43 bags of trash daily, which totaled to amount of 2,411 bags of trash collected on total. Average job at placement for each individual that we were able to place, which this number has just changed because the last one, but it was 1481 at the time of placement. We work closely with the Colorado Department of Corrections and parole offices, the Rescue Mission, Catholic Charities, like I said, the Southern Colorado Harm Reduction Center, and Cervesios, to provide services for individuals coming out of incarceration here and formerly incarcerated. So if they were on parole and probation, they were still able to, take part of our services. And then moving forward, we're hoping that you would look forward to renewing our contract with the city, so we can continue to support individuals returning home from incarceration. This is a story of a participant that was one of our first participants to be placed and successful in our Pueblo pilot. Her name was Amber Sanchez, and I'll leave this story here if you all would like to take a look at it.
Thank you so much for your attention. We also brought a couple of letters of support that we can leave with you all, and really appreciate the chance to have this pilot with the city. And we would love to continue the partnership if it also aligns with the city's priorities moving forward.
Is there any questions you all have for us and our program?
Any question? I have a question if nobody else. Ted, you have a question? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
just, can you go over your numbers for Pueblo, your 17, just the breakdown again, please?
So over the 17 individuals we were referred, since it was a pilot program, we focused strictly on parole referrals. So each individual who came from the parole office was recently released from incarceration within 2 weeks of being referred to our program. And of those 17, 6 have found full-time employment throughout the city. 2 were actually, released from our program for, lack of program, what's the word I'm looking for? Engagement. And then others are still working with us, some just through the coaching and job development model, because they lack the means to get to Colorado Springs, and the others are driving themselves to the Springs and utilizing our services and our work program from the Springs.
Thank you.
Counselor Dante.
Yes, you kind of answered the question just now, but what is the success rate?
Our success rate for Pueblo or nationwide?
Yeah, for Pueblo.
So for Pueblo, we are at about a 50% success rate of individuals placed to enrollments.
Yes. For last fiscal year, we enrolled 150 individuals, and then 95 individuals were placed into a permanent job following CEO. And we actually aim for 50% placement rate, which I know sounds low, but we aim for that number because we want to serve individuals who are the hardest to serve and probably aren't getting services through the job center or aren't getting other workforce development. They can come to CEO, get daily pay. If they get a job placement and they happen to lose that job in the year of retention, they can come back to CEO the next day. We'll plug them back into a transitional job. They'll get stable. So Eric's team actually has a higher rate than 50%, but that's what we aim for.
Okay. Counselor Boston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just turn your mic on. You're trying to get talked to. I actually had the pleasure of going on with you guys out on a tour to see what the people actually at work. And what I literally like about your guys' program is you're taking individuals who are trying to better their lives. They've made a mistake, they've paid the price, now they want to reintegrate. And it's very hard for somebody to get a chance once they've gone through these things. They're members of society that want a chance to contribute again. And I know we talked about it You guys said that it was just a pilot program, and if you had a full-time program, there was a lot more that you could do. Talk to me about the expansion so that everybody else can hear the more amount of people that could be served if this were to become a full-time project.
So everything for our program depends on the amount of crews and city support we have. So right now with the statewide, we have 5 transitional work crews between Denver and Colorado Springs. We're able to serve close to 350, almost 400 participants between both cities. The placement rate for Colorado Springs, our goal is 90 to 100 placements for the city of Colorado Springs. And I believe Denver's is also about 80 to 90 placements for the city of Denver. Denver's a little harder because of the, minimum wage is a lot higher than Colorado Springs and Pueblo. So there's a little more tricky, but we try our best. And working with Pueblo, the goal is always to aim high. I want to aim for more than 50% placement rate in the city of Pueblo. I would like to serve, as many participants as we can. So as many as we can get on crew and as many we can get placed, opens the door and opens more seats for more individuals to come through the program.
How many crews do you think you'd be able to fill if you had the support?
Referral wise, I've had over 100 referrals for the city of Pueblo since the pilot opened. So I could fill at least 3 or 4 vans right now.
At the current partnership level, that enables us to serve 4 people on a work crew each day. So 1 crew year round, that would be a little over 50 enrollments.
Thank you.
Councilor Ruiz Gomez.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done for these folks and helping them integrate back into our society. I really appreciate your work. My question I had is, are there any other industries that you place folks in? Is there a long-term where you see folks getting into other industries and more long-term opportunities?
Yes, so recently we have 3 placements with the Colorado Department of Transportation, actually. We were able to get them their CDLs and they were placed with the Department of Transportation. We have a couple individuals that work with laying fiber optic cables throughout the city. Landscaping, we have the auto industry, mechanics, carpentry, a couple in the trades of building houses, working with the tiny homes. So we don't limit ourselves. We ask each individual what they're skilled in or what they would like to pursue, and then we try to help them pursue that. We have welders. So we try to tap every industry. If we have somebody that meets the skills needed for that industry or that job, we will advocate for each individual to get into a job that they want and not force them in just to any job.
And it is not included in the cost of the partnership to the city, but CEO covers the cost of those credentials for individuals. And once, for example, if you go to trucking school, you can't come to your transitional job every day. So we provide a stipend to replace that income. So one of the things that helps us do that is we have with CDHS, we have a SNAP employment and training partnership that provides workforce and vocational support for that side of our model.
I've got something real quick. In reference to are you ever surprised with the level of talent, skills you have with some of these guys, even though they've had a bad road they ran down, but when they present and you find out what their backgrounds are, or the level of the talent pool that you have at your disposal? Have you ever kind of wondered about that?
Yes, I mean, I've met with every individual that's came through the doors over the last 4 years, and I've met everybody from master carpenters to master electricians to the masters in IT and built computer programs that we still probably use in some of these. And it's amazing. And what amazes me more is how hard it is for some of these individuals with the skills and the talents they have, that it's still so hard for them to find employment or be employable.
Are the local unions receptive to things like journeymen and, moving on with their careers and getting more skills with a union? Have you gone through that door already?
We are working with some unions in the Springs right now to not just for individuals that want to learn those skills, to create programs where we can send an individual to these unions so they can gain these skills and learn new skills. Especially we're seeing it works more for our younger population that comes through, because we serve anybody from 18 and is able-bodied, any able-bodied individual from the age of 18. So we found that with our younger population, the trade skills and those pilots and those abilities to learn different things is working better for the younger population.
Is there anything in reference to some kind of, and I know recidivism rates are in reference to jails and that kind of stuff, but with your program, I'm sure somebody's going to slip eventually. I mean, something happens and the accepting them back into the process. Does that happen? Do you have a recidivism program that allows that?
Yes. So each individual, if they do end up recidivating, I mean, it's on a case by case basis. But for the most part, we're a restorative program. We want to be able to help individuals stand on their own 2 feet long term. And we understand that that can come with some slip ups and some shortfalls. So we prepare for that and we build it into the program model. So as long as an individual has days remaining in our program, they have days to come back to and work.
And I guess you guys work in alignment with health services and drug
Yeah.
therapies and all that is
Yes.
part of this? Okay, I'm just curious. Okay, Counselor Boston, please.
Thank you, Chair. One more question. To service those 2 to 4 crews, what would the commitment from the city look like?
We have a per day rate, which would be
It would be close to $1,000 with a recent increase in minimum wage. So our current rate with y'all is $900 per day.
Is that per crew?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other, Mayor, anybody else, anything else? You guys good?
Thank
All
you so
right, I
much.
think we're good. Thank you for coming and hit your mics on the way out.
thank you.
Next up, we have item agenda C. We have Sky Corral, Andrew Hayes, Public Works Director. You have a 15-minute presentation and we'll try to keep you on that. And turn your mic on, Andrew.
Hi, good evening, counselors. Congratulations to our new members and welcome back to everybody starting the new year. My name is Andrew Hayes. I'm the Director of Public Works. I'm here to brief you quickly tonight on the Sky Corral project. This is a project that's been in front of council in a couple of ways several times over the past couple of years. But the Sky Corral is a runway facility for remote control airplanes that is out on where the new Medal of Honor Road is recently been constructed. So we're going to go over the project real quick, talk about its location and some of the project details that are going on. And I'm going to seek some council direction tonight to figure out what next steps we want to take with the project. Ultimately, again, as I mentioned, this is a project located out on the Medal of Honor Boulevard. It's approximately 1.9 miles up the new road from Pueblo Boulevard. So from that intersection where the right end of the yellow arrow is the intersection of Medal of Honor and Pueblo Boulevard, about 1.9 miles up. You can see that runway facility is just a few hundred feet off of the Medal of Honor roadway. Just a little ways outside of the city limits and just beyond, maybe a mile and a half beyond where the new jail facility is. The facility is owned by the city. It is located outside of city limits, but it is on the Honor Farm, which is controlled by a conservation easement. That conservation easement allowed for the construction of Medal of Honor Boulevard, the roadway through that easement. And the alignment of that road was shifted by Pueblo County to minimize impacts related to drainage. So there's a lot of drainage ways out that way. And so when they aligned the road, it ended up being aligned very close to where the current Sky Corral facility is located. The facility is operated by Sky Corral Club. It is operated under a no-fee permit that's been issued by the city. They've been operating it for decades. Pueblo County, obviously constructing that road so close to the facility has raised safety concerns about potential conflicts between traffic and aircraft operations out there. Generally speaking, the permitted flying area is just north of the runway, but as planes come into land, if they get out of control, they're within, like I say, a few hundred feet of Medal of Honor Boulevard, which is going to be a fairly high-speed roadway between Pueblo West and the city. Currently, there are county and city agreements in place. The easement agreement talks about the alignment of that road and where it went and maintenance of that roadway. In there's also a project agreement that since the easement agreement was signed, we entered into a project agreement where the county agreed to provide $50,000 towards the relocation of this runway a little bit to the north of its current existing location. So that's what's referred to here by the project agreement. So this is a picture from above here. It looks very black and it looks like new asphalt, but it is really, there's a fabric covering on that runway. So on that western edge, you can kind of see it's darker, and there's an eastern edge that's uncovered. The pavement condition is very poor. It's not in great shape. You can also see that there are a couple of other runways that were out there originally. There's a north-south one and a diagonal one as well. That goes from northwest to southeast. Those two smaller runways have been basically abandoned. The east-west runway, though, has still been used up until recently and is still included in their permitted area. As mentioned, it's only a few hundred feet off of Medal of Honor Boulevard, which is visible there at the bottom of this picture. The current existing runway is a 60-foot wide by 680-foot runway. And it's mentioned that pavement is in very poor condition. This slide is trying to show the relative location of the existing runway and the new runway. The new runway is just about 300 or 400 feet just north of the existing, and it's oriented just a little bit different to maximize their flying area in the permitted area. The permitted area for flying is bounded by some residential properties on the north. There's power lines to the east and west, so this is trying to make sure we minimize those conflicts there. In this particular case, this proposed runway is based on a configuration that was proposed by the Sky Corral Club. It is an 800-foot runway, so it's about 150 feet longer than the existing. It also contains additional area for a pilot area and a pit area. That's what those two kind of smaller sections are just on the south side of the runway there that's trying to show. Mentioned that Pueblo County had previously agreed to provide $50,000 in funding for the project. And the city also in FY25 had put $50,000 in at the end of the session in 2026 when the budget was approved. An amendment was added to the budget to add $200,000 additional dollars in 2026 for continuing to fund the project. There was also separately, some of you may recall, there was a representative of a private donor that wanted to make a $100,000 donation toward the project. That $100,000 donation is still considered as part of the available project funds that has not been provided yet. And I'll explain a little bit more in just a moment. But bottom line is we have about $400,000 available to complete the work. So the private donation was being proposed by Mr. and Mrs. Kirkland family. They're the owners of the Siete Inc., which is the contractor that was doing the work out with Pueblo County on building the Medal of Honor Boulevard. They were mobilized, obviously, with heavy equipment and had construction capacity to do this work out there. In December, we had bids returned from them showing that they could do the work, but it was going to be a total of $577,000. The base bid just for the runway only was $444,000. So even with the donation, it was still $40K over budget. If we're going to add the other items, the pilot area and the pit area, again, that added another approximately $130,000, $135,000 or so. So what I'm asking tonight here, I'm seeking council direction on what we'd like to do with the project. Obviously, it's been highly visible, and there's three real options that I see here. One of those options is rebidding the project with the current scope under competitive situation. I mentioned that Siete had proposed providing that $100,000 donation as a credit shown on their bid. So that was the way that we bid this out. This project wouldn't have had enough funding but for the funding they provided. So we offered them the chance to bid that and offered their $100,000 as a credit on that last bid. The project could also be de-scoped. That could be a shorter runway. That could be a slightly narrower runway. There could be a different asphalt thickness. Currently, we've got a 3-inch asphalt thick slab. We could go to 2, but that raises some maintenance concerns and durability concerns for the long run. Roadways tend to last a little longer because they're driven on. That may not make sense, but when you're kneading the asphalt with with weight from tires, that action actually enhances durability of those road surfaces a little bit. We're a little bit worried that getting a smaller surface out there with no weight on it is going to be maybe detrimental to the pavement over the long haul. So reducing asphalt thickness also isn't necessarily likely to make create a bunch of savings. The biggest cost driver in the original bids was tied to earthwork that was out there. So actually leveling, raising the area, cutting and filling, and doing that portion of the work was about 2/3 of the total cost of the project. The asphalt represented a much smaller fraction of the total cost. A third option that we have is to abandon the project. So we can not do any further work. That would require us obviously to terminate our current permit with Sky Corral and not do any further work. It would preclude them likely from flying. They have represented that their insurance carrier is requiring them to they can't get the insurance that they need in order to continue the flying operations that they have unless they can move the runway further north. So there are three options there, and I'd like to open it up to questions and give you a chance to ask anything that may be on your mind. And then if I could, before we leave, ask for some direction about how we'd like to proceed going forward.
The $544,000 bid. So what the bid was actually 644?
For 544, let me see real quick.
You put that screen.
444, it was 444 with the base bid. Just the base bid option had a discount reflected of $100,000. So it's 544 less the $100,000. So it's 444 including the donation. So that 577 total is really 677 if we received this pricing with no discount. Did that make sense?
So no,
Sorry.
so the actual cost is 544
Sure. So the actual
with their 100,000.
for the base bid, just the runway only, $544,000, not including their discount. Once you take off the discount, 444 for that piece, for the runway only. If you add the pit area and you add that pilot area, those small areas, it's another 135,000 or
Well, I
so.
mean, I thought our agreement from the very beginning was we were only going to do the runway. The runway was the total. And you know, shame on me for believing them. But they sat here in the meeting and said they could redo it for $100,000, that the whole thing would be done for $100,000 to get city council to vote to go ahead with that easement or whatever we did for the detention center. So it's gone from the total project, which we were told at that meeting, if I recall, was $100,000.
I think it was
Then
two, but I think it was two.
it's $200,000.
It's orders of
But we-
magnitude different.
But we have $400,000 and we can't get it done.
Correct.
So there's a lot of baloney going on with that, with what they said they were willing to do and what's getting done. I mean, I think my suggestion would be is that you go back to the county and to the company that said they could redo that runway for $100,000. That's what we were expecting.
So another option I actually didn't put in there too is that if you wanted to go with the current scope and rebid, one of the other options is if it comes in high, you could certainly also ask Sky Corral to contribute. Though it's a publicly owned facility, there is no, the city doesn't operate it. It's limited to users who are members for safety reasons, but the membership of the club are the beneficiaries of this facility. So it wouldn't necessarily be inappropriate. I don't know if they could accommodate any additional funding from their own funding as well, but that might be another source to make up some of the difference as well.
I get what you're saying. All I'm saying is that it's kind of shocking from my standpoint that a year and a half, 2 years ago, we're told that it's $100,000 project. Now it's 500, 600 and some $1,000. I mean, I don't think we signed up for it. For goodness sakes, if we wouldn't have put $200,000 out of our general fund and earmarked it for this project, we'd literally only have $200,000.
Correct.
And we thought, well, maybe that's going to be enough. They'll make it nice, but something's got to change. I mean, I wouldn't be supportive of, a $600,000 runway. So I'd either rebid it and get the $100,000. I mean, will another company do it for less?
I think it's possible. I think that the earthwork pricing that we received was fairly high. I don't think the asphalt was not competitive. I think it was fine. But the earthwork made up about 2/3 of the total cost of the project, and it was the most significant. It seemed high relative to what we expected to see. So I think the answer is yes. I think we could get better pricing on competitive bidding. I don't think that de-scoping the project necessarily, like I say, particularly asphalt thickness, I don't know that that's a great answer, but if we wanted to shorten the runway a little bit,
I would be supportive of rebidding it and then
Yes.
taking a look at what's going on.
thank you.
Counselor Boston, then Counselor Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this is just, we can't do this. This is, we don't have the money. You know, I understand there's a small group that uses this, but to justify this type of investment, when we're in the situation we in, I just don't think that's possible. I remember, I think this came up just when I got on council. And I remember similarly to Councilman Aliff that the company was going to contribute the 100, county was going to contribute 50, we were going to contribute 50. And they said that could be done for close to that 200,000 mark. And now we're almost 3 times that. You know, I think this group is a little overzealous with expanding the size of the runway. We're going from 650 to 800. I don't think that is right. You know, I think they should be getting what they have or less in a sense, you know, so maybe if this was 600 feet, you know, it'd maybe make it a little cheaper, but you're saying the asphalt's not the cost issue, it's the moving of the earth.
Correct.
But I don't think we can justify this type of expense for a city facility that is restricted to a small group of probably 50 or 100 people that doesn't bring in any revenue. I just don't think there's justification for the tax dollars on that. And it's unfortunate to that group. It's unfortunate that we're in this situation. And as Mark Aliff said, that the job can't be done for the price that was promised. So at this current state, I think the only option is to rebid personally and go off those numbers, but I don't see it being in anything of the realm of something we can afford to support.
If I can,
Counselor Hernandez,
may,
please.
may I real quick, just, you mentioned something about not having revenue. One thing I mentioned is that permit is currently issued by the city at no cost. We are going to have to amend their permit. The permitted area is different. So that's something that council could consider as well, is imposing some kind of a fee to help recover some of the costs that the city might incur as well. So that's another option to help with that aspect.
Yeah, I would explore having them either pitch in or some sort of fee to offset because otherwise it's not feasible.
Understood.
You're good? Counselor Hernandez.
Mr. Hayes, do we have $400,000 for this project or do we not?
We have $300,000
We have
and we have a
300.
commitment for a private donation. They have recently
If they're
verbally
gonna do the work.
recommitted that or let me know that it's still available so that we should have $400,000 to work with.
The 100,000 from them is if they're doing the work. It's a
Not
kind work?
necessarily, not necessarily. That's just the way that we went forward because of their mobilization on the site, the presumption that they were going to be able to offer better pricing, and because the project would not have happened but for the donation that contractor made essentially.
So to spend the $400,000, we're going to put it out for another bid if we're not
Probably.
going to agree to spend any more, correct?
Yes, we would put it out to bid competitively and let all bidders participate in that process.
And we could let those bidders know we have $400,000 to spend?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. I mean, we can let them know that. They still, if there's multiple
Sure.
bidders, they can compete. If you have multiple bids at the same price, then
Correct.
we still have to pick the best bid. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Counselor Latino.
I'm in support of what my fellow council members have said. However, we need to understand that, and it's my understanding that the possibility exists that there's also potential for us to have a new tower there. As they've built in Alamosa and other places, and there are a lot of individuals from the northern part of the state that are wanting to come to Pueblo to house their planes.
Gotcha. I think we may be talking two different projects. So this one is not located physically at the airport. I know we're talking about the airport. I think you're talking about the airport project the FAA is putting in that new tower. Different areas. So this one would not get any kind of a control tower or anything like that, but it would have they have some existing storage facilities, Connex boxes and sheds where they keep some of their equipment. That is not tall stuff, but it is stuff that they would relocate to the new runway location. But there's no tower at this location.
I know that. I know there's no tower. But what I'm saying is there's all kinds of potential there because sitting on the board as I have, and I hope I can continue to sit on the board, there's all kinds of potential out there. And we've got people that I'm talking to personally that are business people that are wanting to move forward with making that a central airport, you know, for not only transportation of passenger, but in the work area as well, you know? So.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Dante.
I have several questions.
Please.
This has been going on since 2023, is that correct?
That's about right. It was about the time that we entered into the easement agreement with the county.
Okay, and so did we get an estimate back then?
So the Sky Corral Group has brought forward an estimate at that time that showed about $200,000 or so. And that was an estimate that may have been even a little bit dated at that point, but it's certainly not current now.
So it's gone up like 300,000.
This bid,
Yes.
this one bid.
So is some of the reasoning is because the costs of supplies has gone up as well as the tariffs?
I don't know if tariffs necessarily affected this, but the certainly the cost of materials and construction costs, labor costs have gone up since 2021, 2022, when that original estimate was provided.
Okay,
That was an estimate also provided not to the city. It was provided to the Sky Corral Club as a way to estimate what they thought their cost might be. And I want to say it was somewhere in the ballpark of that $200,000 mark.
okay. And this 400,000 you were talking about, that was donations, was it 400,000?
100.
100?
Total of-
And
total of-
donations. Where did that come from?
So representative of the Kirkland family was here at council a year ago or so and committed in the council meeting on the Kirkland's behalf that they wanted to make a donation to this project. Again, the Kirklands are the owners of Siete Inc., which is the contractor that has been constructing the Medal of Honor Boulevard project for Pueblo County. And again, where they have equipment mobilized and everything else, they had the capacity and capability to do this work.
Okay,
Unfortunately, this bid just came in with very, very high pricing and
so none of the donations coming actually from Sky Corral.
correct. This is an outside third party making that donation. Sky Corral has not committed any funds to the project.
Okay, that's one thing that I would like to see is them committing some money.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, it's not just an airplane, model airplane runway just for the club. They bring in competition, right, from other cities?
My understanding is they have a couple of events a year where they bring people in and they have, fairly large events is my understanding. I have not been to one yet, but these are model aircraft that vary in size from fairly small up to, 10, 11-foot wingspan kinds of sizes.
So it's not just a small group of people. We're bringing in money from out of state.
There's some potential economic impact for people coming in and visiting, spending money in restaurants or hotels, of course. But there is not a direct revenue source for reimbursing for cities' maintenance or costs or anything else for operation or maintenance of the facility under the current permit terms.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Boston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'd like maybe consider having Sky Corral, if they have a board or a group, to maybe come in here and sell us on this a little more and tell us what they can bring to the table might help as well. Because if there is more potential to this, I'm not trying to shoot down a new good thing for the city by any stretch of the measure, but I'm just trying to have justification for the costs. So maybe that's another avenue that we can look at, is maybe bringing some of them here.
Joe, I'm going to just jump in here real quick. In reference to the club itself, I want to make people get the idea that this is not just a little model plane club. These are planes that take jet fuel engine, for Christ's sakes. They're pretty big. I think the wingspans goes as high as 15 feet. And the way I look at it, in reference to trying to build a hub in my crazy brain about making Pueblo a hub for airports and for pilots, this might be the starting point for young people. And that runway, I think, is important. Now, I don't know what we go back a while and we look at the initial donation. We looked at what we committed to back then. Do you remember those numbers, Andrew?
We had committed $50,000.
Okay, and the
That's
county matched 50?
Correct, 50 as well.
Okay, and then we had the donation of $100,000.
We had a verbal commitment here in council chambers from the private donor. And then separately, we had $200,000 budget appropriated for the FY26 budget to add to this project.
Okay.
So total of $400K available.
Well, I just want to people get the idea of what this thing is, because it's one thing to say a remote control plane and then envision it and then going out to the runway and see how big the runway is. It's pretty good size. So just for that sort, Council Latino.
This is something that will bring people into this community from all over the country, you know? So, and I've spoken with some of the, the proponents of this particular project, and I think it'll be great for this community. I really do.
Andrew, do we have any numbers in reference to the, for lack of a better term, the revenue generation from people coming out and participating with this? Number one. Number two, do we have numbers of visitors? Do we have any of those numbers? Has the Sky Corral given you any of that stuff to back up their, if they're coming they're coming to Pueblo to participate with this, correct?
Correct. I mean,
Okay,
so
do we
the
have
two
any
event the year
number?
that they have. I don't have the numbers. They may have presented them to council at some point in the past.
Okay, I was just curious if you had them.
If I may, I've heard several of you suggest rebidding. And that might be the opportunity to also bring Sky Corral back
Okay.
when we have the new bid numbers come back. If additional funds are still required, that's a great time to maybe ask them those questions. And also if, ask if they are capable or willing to provide additional funds on their own part to make up that difference. So those might be great discussions to have, but I hear almost universally to rebid as kind of a way to go forward here.
Okay. Counselors, anything else? We good? All right, I think we're good, Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors.
Next up, Building Back Bessemer. Heather Graham, Mayor, 15-minute presentation.
Good afternoon, council. Welcome back and welcome to our new council members. Look forward to seeing you get sworn in tonight. So over the last several months, we've heard community members, we've heard members of council talk about Bessemer, the blight, the buildings that are currently boarded, the crime that's going on, the buildings that are burned. And so we decided to take a look at this from the city in conjunction with the Urban Renewal Authority, since this does fall within a TIF district. So tonight on your agenda, you are going to have two resolutions and an ordinance, M13, M16, and S16. And I wanted to talk to you about each of the action items and tell you a little bit about what these action items mean when you vote on them tonight. So M13 is going to be a resolution requesting PURA to address blighted properties along West Northern Avenue. M16 is going to be a resolution directing PURA to acquire the ownership of two properties that are located right next to the clamshell. They're actually in this picture behind the caption. So right next to the clamshell, two properties, and then they also butt up to 1310 East Route, which is also on your agenda tonight to award the contract for demolition and to remove the blight off of that property that's not owned by a city property. So the two properties that we're talking about to potentially use for redevelopment purposes are 420 West Northern, and 418 West Northern. And then the last ordinance that you're going to be voting on tonight is approving a purchase of almost an entire city block of 316 through 322 West Northern Avenue in the amount of $99,000, just a little under $100,000, and that would be coming from the ARPA interest account. So M13 is going to be directing the authority to remove blight along West Northern. So specifically in this picture, you're all probably very familiar with this block. This currently houses 323 Northern Avenue. This is a very large building that has been boarded. It's been burned several times. The properties that are next to it are all in pretty good shape. You have the Appliance King, Nunez, and then you have a couple other stores on that front. But this large property on the corner, 323 Northern, I pulled this straight from a fire call. It's a structurally hazardous building with multiple fires and holes in the floor. So this building needs to be removed or addressed. It's not safe. It's not safe for our community. It's not safe for people walking up and down Northern Avenue. And this is just a resolution asking the Urban Renewal Authority to address this property. The second is going to be a directive asking Urban Renewal to acquire the ownership of 418 and 420 West Northern. This property is currently owned by a gentleman who is deceased. We've tried to make contact to try to purchase these properties. So this is also a resolution acquiring Urban Renewal to try to obtain this space. This space could potentially be used for a green space or a pocket park, or maybe additional parking. Tacos Fuego is directly across the street, and they have significant trouble with parking along with the other small businesses that are located in that area. So that's what we would look to do with these two lots. This would be funded by our CDBG funds that we receive from the federal government. The last agenda item that's on your agenda tonight is S16, and this is authorizing the approval. I brought this to City Council in an executive session about 6 weeks ago, so we submitted an LOI to purchase these properties. As you can see, they're all the buildings that are boarded next to, I believe it's Sinfully Delicious Catering. So it's a total of 4 buildings. We toured them. The insides are pretty dilapidated. But overall, the structure is pretty sound. It could be rehabbed, and we would try to acquire businesses to go, new businesses to go into this and try to jumpstart some revitalization and redevelopment within the Bessemer area. So this would be a purchase out of the city's ARPA interest. We would then work with the Urban Renewal to try to redevelop and revitalize this area. In the meantime, Councilor Gomez talked about potentially having murals painted on the front of the building, showcasing some of the steelworks and some of the great things that have happened in Bessemer over time. Catty Corner, right around the corner, is going to be Jorge's, which is a loved Pueblo favorite. So this would be a great opportunity, I think, for the city to come in and purchase these properties and work with the Urban Renewal Authority to develop this entire block. The little purple building on the end has also already been condemned by the city. This is really all part of an overhaul of the Bessemer area. City Council did approve last year the demolition of the Converges building. You can see some pictures that we went out and took. Looks much better. It's currently being fenced in order for the development with Circle K to start up, and we are going to be soon posting an RFP to get a housing developer to come in and put up some workforce housing on the backside of the property that the city acquired for giving the demo funds for this property. In conjunction, right across the street, City Council also passed the fencing of Bessemer Park. And I believe that this construction of the fence is going to help with some of the crime issues that we have going on in the park late at night and help some of the businesses that are around. Next steps. If all of these agenda items pass tonight, Steelworks Center of the West is willing to hold a stakeholder kickoff meeting on February 19th at 6 p.m. Where we'll invite the citizens of Bessemer, City Council, anybody who wants to come and be a part of this initiative of building back Bessemer, so we can hear input from the community on what you think these properties should be turned into, what you want to see in your community, and hopefully talk about next steps. So how are we going to get this done? Next steps I think that we could potentially look at is potentially bonding the entire district to be able to bring some revitalization. But in order to bond, you have to have debt service. Currently, we have a TIF district that the city receives anywhere from $380,000 to $416,000 over the last 3 years. The St. Charles TIF district, that is excess revenue that's generated that comes back to the city every year. Those funds should be used for public improvements, and what better way to use them to be putting in some public improvements into the Bessemer area and cleaning up some of these boarded and blighted properties that so desperately need it. So that's just one option of what we could potentially do for funding. I'm sure there's other options that we can bring to you, but this is just the very first start of the project. This is really just the city going in and acquiring the property, having having conversations with the city council, the businesses around, and really seeing how we can come in and clean up the Bessemer area. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Well, I'm going to start because I'm District 4. It's my district. I just want to say it's pretty good stuff you have here. And, you know, back in 1938, Bessemer was the place, man. I mean, they were working on an ethnic cuisine corridor. It became a destination place all over the state of Colorado. I mean, you had Czech, you had Italian, you had Japanese, you had German, you had Mexican, you name it, they had it. And there's no reason why that whole area there can't go back to those days. We have every amenity, I think, in that area to do something like that. And I like what this is doing. Thank you. Councilor Boston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, no, this is great. You know, you got so many amazing lifelong businesses there. You know, you named a couple. Shout out Taco Fuego, best tacos. And another thing you didn't bring up, I think it's M3. The house across the street is on the agenda tonight too for first reading. Or no, it's just a resolution to try to get that project finally moving along and get that demolished. So you know, I just think this is great. And you know, I think it's time we try some new things and start investing in the blight. I know blight's one thing that is always complained about in the community. And this is just another good way to try to see if we can try something new and make it work. So I like this idea.
Okay, Councilor Hernandez, and then we'll go to Latino.
Mayor, thank you. So the property at 323, that'll come down, correct?
It's probably gonna have to come down. I
Because-
mean, it was significantly burned. I'm not sure if that specific property has done anything to rehab the inside. The authority and the city have been trying to make contact with the owner of the property. So I don't want to say that we would necessarily go down and demo it. I would just say that we would use urban renewal and urban renewal's ability to help with revitalization of that west side. And that's directly across from the properties that are on your agenda to buy.
Okay, so that's 316 to 322.
Yes.
And those properties will be renovated, where you said the interior, the guts of the
The
buildings
guts
are.
it's pretty bad on the inside, but the structural walls on the outside, they're all connected. And so I think it can be saved. It's a beautiful brick building, makes Bessemer, right? So if we can go in and just revitalize the inside, it's 4 separate units, so it would make sense to have retail, restaurant, coffee shop, et cetera, something other than a vape shop or a tattoo shop, because that whole area is flooded with those types of businesses already. So it'd be nice to have some additional businesses for that area.
Thank you.
Councilor Latino.
Yeah, I think it's a great project. One concern that I have is the fence going around Bessemer Park. I know the councilman and I are going to disagree about this, but that's an area for young people. It has been for decades. Aguilera Park, they play softball, they play baseball. I know because I've been up there. I've done some things up there to help with that. When I was the general manager at the Runyon Sports Complex, we had a project up there for the young kids that was put on by Max Salas, myself, and Stan Sanchez, the head baseball coach of CSUP when I was a general manager at Runyon. I really don't like the idea that they're putting that we're going to put a fence up and lock that off to young people in that community whose families want to go there at 6 o'clock at night in the summertime, or 7 o'clock at night, or 8 o'clock at night. I really don't agree with that. I really don't agree with that. So I hope there'll be some more thought going into putting a fence up and shutting it down so that we can house the homeless or keep the homeless from going in. And yet we're keeping the young kids and their families from going in there as well. I don't support that at all. Secondly, we're doing some things in Bessemer and we have some things that we need to do on the east side. In particular, we just had a fire, homeless burned down a beautiful building in front of a print shop and burned down the fence of the print shop this last week. Well, during the holidays, the building is totaled. There was a fire in there before because we had homeless in there. And we need to think about putting something forward in terms of the east side as well, as it relates to a project comparable to what we're going to do in Bessemer. I think it's a great thing that's going to happen in Bessemer, but we need to do those kinds of things on the east side as well.
We don't
Thank you.
disagree, Counselor, and I'd be happy to work with you
Great.
on doing some stuff. And I know that we've contacted the owner of the property that's burnt, and we're probably going to be doing the same thing that we've done with East Route. So I appreciate your comments.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to add one thing in reference to in reference to fencing and the kind of stuff that we're talking. I'm not talking about a fence that looks like a jail, number one. I've talked to the park rangers, number two. We're not going to keep people out. We're actually going to get people to come back because a lot of the people that live along these streets, they want to know that those areas are safe. That's our first obligation as counselors. So if you come in and you say, here's the park rangers, we're going to take the keys at 6 when it's getting light out, and they're going to start shutting it down when it gets dark late at night, that'll preserve that for their children to go back. It'll stop the needle problems they're having. There's a lot of destruction going on in a lot of these areas too. So I'm not saying we should make it like a jail setting. I am saying that there are ways to slow this stuff down because the people out there are saying the visible problem we have is horrible. And if we don't show them, start saying that we're going to start looking at things that will try to bring that back to a little bit of control, they're not going to trust us anymore. And that's all I ever hear. Nobody's ever doing anything. Nobody's ever patrolling. It's so nutty now that you don't know what's accurate. So we got to get some control of it. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying about shutting people out. I'm talking making it safe for people to go in. Okay, Councilor Latino.
Well, you know, and I understand the park rangers, and I think that's a great thought and a great idea. And I would hope that we would consider that also on the east side at El Centro de Quinta Sol and Plaza Verde Park and Mitchell Park, et cetera. But again, you know, my main concern was keeping young people out of there to play softball or baseball in the summertime, or throw the flag football around, or just chase each other and play hide and seek or whatever. That was my main concern. Thank you.
And Joe, if it's during the day, it'll be open. Councilor, okay. You have anything? Okay, anybody else? Any other comments? Mary, you good? Okay, I think we're good. Well, that should, got the wrong one. We're going to adjourn. Mark, that should make you happy so you can. Okay, we'll be back at 7. We'll be back at 7 o'clock, folks. Thank you.